I still remember the first time she talked about going back to school. It was late, maybe close to midnight, and we were curled up on the couch, the TV murmuring something about a cooking competition we'd long stopped watching. Her head was on my chest, fingers tracing soft shapes through my shirt, and out of nowhere, she said, "I think I want to go back. Get my degree. For real this time." I didn't hesitate, not even for a second. "Then let's do it," I said. "Whatever you need." She smiled in that way that made you feel chosen, like you were the only man on earth. It wasn't that I was rolling in money, but I had enough. A small construction business that kept us comfortable. I'd built it from scratch. Long days, busted hands, saving every dollar until I could finally pay myself a real salary. She wanted to study psychology. Said she had a knack for understanding people. I believed her. She always knew how to make me feel heard, understood. And maybe that should have been my first clue, how easily she could become exactly what someone needed. But hindsight's a bitter kind of teacher. We got her enrolled that fall. I covered tuition up front, no loans. Books, housing near campus, even a new laptop. She promised she'd work part-time to cover her own spending money. I told her she didn't have to, but she insisted, said it would keep her grounded. I was proud of her, honestly. Watching her pack her things, decorating her dorm room like a teenager again, it gave me this quiet hope. Like we were investing in something bigger. A future built not just on love, but on shared ambition. And for a while, it was good. She called every night, sent photos of her and her study group, her notes lined up like little works of art. She came home on weekends, laundry in one hand, her favorite cookies in the other. We made love like we were still newlyweds. She whispered, "Thank you," more times than I can count. "Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for making this possible. Thank you for loving me." I didn't know then how hollow those words would eventually become. The first crack showed in her eyes. Not in a big, dramatic way. Just a flicker. That slight pause when I'd ask how classes were going. The way her hugs grew shorter. How she stopped lingering in my arms like she used to. I chalked it up to stress. Midterms. Deadlines. But something else was shifting. She started coming home less. Said her weekends were packed with labs, study sessions, networking events. Sometimes she'd cancel last minute, always with a warm apology and some excuse that sounded just believable enough. Then came the emails. I wasn't snooping. I'd never done that before. But one night, she left her Gmail open on the living room desktop, and something caught my eye. A subject line that read, "Our nightcap, winky face." I hesitated. I told myself not to click it. But I did. And that's when I met him. Professor Daniels, head of behavioral sciences. Her academic advisor. Tenured, charming, smug in a way that practically dripped off the screen. The messages weren't blatant at first. Flirty, yes. "Can't wait to finish our little research tonight," but not graphic. Still, I knew. I knew in the way you feel a splinter burrow into your skin even before you see the blood. They went back months. Coffee dates. Study retreats. Overnight conferences. All the nights, she said she was too busy for me. She was with him. And he was older, too. Late 50s maybe. The kind of man who knew how to blur the lines between mentorship and manipulation. The betrayal didn't hit me all at once. It seeped in, slow like rust. I sat there for hours, reading everything. Every "I miss you already." Every "you make me feel young again." Every digital echo of the intimacy I thought we shared. I wanted to scream. Throw the laptop across the room. Wake her up and demand answers. But I didn't. I did what I always did. I handled it. Quietly. Carefully. The next day, I changed the password to her tuition account. It wasn't petty. It was self-preservation. The school's portal was tied to my credit card, my financial information, my tax ID. She hadn't even logged in herself in weeks, probably because she didn't have to. I removed my card, locked the account, left her an email saying there'd been a suspicious charge, and I had to restrict access temporarily. She replied within minutes. "What happened? I need to submit my housing payment this week." "I'll handle it," I wrote back. "Just send me the invoice." She didn't reply. 2 days later, she was at my door. It was the first time she'd been home in almost a month. Hair perfectly curled. Lipstick too red for a study break. She smelled like him. Or maybe that was just in my head. She didn't hug me. I tried logging in again. She said, "No hello. It's still locked." I nodded, played it cool. "Yeah, I've got it covered." She stared at me. Hard. "Why didn't you tell me first?" I shrugged. "Thought I did." It was subtle, but I saw it. That flicker again. Her jaw tightened just a little. Her fingers clenched around the strap of her bag. "You don't trust me?" she asked. That was the moment. Right there. The line that made my stomach twist. Because she wasn't denying anything. She wasn't asking why I was restricting her school funds. She was accusing me. Playing defense before I'd even gone on offense. I swallowed the lump in my throat and forced a smile. "I trust you," I said. "I just don't trust the system." She didn't reply. Just stood there for a few long seconds before nodding once, sharp and small. "Fine," she said. "But I need access by Friday. My financial aid's still pending, and my advisor." I stopped her with a look. "I know." She blinked. "What?" "I know who he is. And I know what's been going on." "There." I said it. The silence between us cracked like ice. Her mouth opened, then closed. She wasn't shocked. Not really. She looked exposed. Like I'd pulled the curtain back, and she'd forgotten to dress for the performance. Her voice dropped. "You went through my email?" I saw enough. And for a moment, her face softened, not with guilt, but calculation. As if she was already rewriting the script, repositioning herself in the narrative. "Look," she started. "I didn't mean for it to go that far. He is, just someone I connected with. Someone who understands." I laughed. "I didn't mean to. It just spilled out, bitter and tired." "He's your professor." She rolled her eyes. "Don't patronize me." "No," I said, stepping back. "I'm done patronizing you. I paid for your dreams. I believed in you. And you thank me by." "Don't make this about you," she snapped. That stung. "Don't make this about me?" I repeated. "You used me. Lied to me. Let me fund your affair while you played the struggling student." She didn't apologize. She didn't cry. She didn't even flinch. She just stared at me, cold and defiant. "You can't control me," she said. I nodded slowly. "No," I said, "but I can stop paying for you." After she left that night, the house felt empty. Not physically. Her coat still hung by the door, a half-used coffee mug sat on the counter, but spiritually. The warmth was gone. The air felt colder, heavier. And I sat there in the kitchen, the cursor blinking on that locked tuition account screen, wondering how the hell we got here. I didn't sleep much after that. My mind played a loop of everything. The way she looked at me when I told her I knew, the calculated way she didn't deny it, the way her tone changed the second I mentioned money. I couldn't stop thinking about that word, control. "You can't control me." She said it like that was my intention, like I was some puppet master, pulling strings. But what she never saw, or maybe just never cared to, was that I didn't want control. I wanted partnership. I wanted to build something together. She was supposed to be my person, my future. Instead, she was using me as a stepping stone. I spent the next few days quietly disentangling her from my finances. I shut down the shared Amex, froze the emergency savings account we'd opened just in case, removed her from the beneficiary list on my life insurance, called the bursar's office, told them tuition payments would now be processed directly by me, not through the online portal. I made sure it was all legal, clean, documented. I didn't block her number, didn't change the locks. I wasn't vindictive. I just removed her. She called twice. Both times, I let it ring. Her messages were short, clipped. The second one stood out. "So this is how you're going to play it? Fine. Just remember, I have options too." Options. Right. That word felt like a slap. 2 weeks passed before she showed up again. It was a Saturday. I was in the garage, reorganizing my tools, just trying to feel like something made sense. I heard the front door creak open. She still had a key. When I stepped inside, she was standing in the living room, arms crossed, face unreadable. "I need to talk," she said. I nodded, said nothing, let her speak. "I'm not here to apologize," she started, and that was the moment I knew this wasn't about healing. "But I think we should be adults about this." I tilted my head. "Adults." She sighed. "Look, what happened wasn't ideal. But that doesn't erase everything else. We were good, once. You helped me, and I appreciate that, I really do. But things change. People change." Her voice was too even, too rehearsed. "You mean you changed?" I said. She gave a small, bitter laugh. "No, I just stopped pretending." Silence. Then, she stepped forward. "I want to finish my degree. I'm almost there. Just a few more credits. Can we agree to keep things civil until then?" My chest tightened. Not because of what she was asking, but how casually she asked it. Like I was a bank loan. Like I was supposed to just hand her more support, no questions asked, because she deserved it. And maybe, in her mind, she did. Who's paying for it now? I asked quietly. She blinked. What? Your professor. Is he footing the bill now? That was the first real crack. Her lips parted slightly, her breath caught. Not guilt, just annoyance at being caught off guard. He's not involved in that way, she said. This isn't about him, isn't it? Another silence. Then, something colder passed through her eyes. Fine. If you're done helping, just say so. But don't act like this is some grand betrayal. We both knew things weren't perfect. My fists clenched at my sides. We weren't perfect, but I was faithful. I was invested. I was suffocating, she snapped. There it was. Finally. She said it like a confession, but it landed like a knife. Her voice didn't waver. She wasn't sorry. She was just done pretending. I needed something more, she said. Something alive. I didn't have the words. Not in that moment. Not through the sting in my eyes and the sound of my heartbeat thudding in my ears. She turned to leave, but paused at the door. I'll figure something out, she said. Just take care of yourself. And then she was gone. I didn't hear from her again for nearly a month. By then, I'd started therapy. Quietly. Once a week. A place to unpack everything I wasn't ready to tell my friends. Mostly because I didn't want to hear the "I told you so" in their silence. My therapist, a graying man named Ray, asked me once, "What are you really mourning?" I didn't answer right away, because it wasn't the betrayal that haunted me most. It was the memory of who I thought she was. The version of her I believed in. The girl on the couch, tracing shapes on my chest, whispering dreams I thought were ours. I missed the illusion. That's the hardest part. Losing something that was never really yours. One night, near the end of the semester, I got a call from the university. A young woman on the other end said she was from the registrar's office. There was an issue with my tuition record, something about an override code and mismatched payment authorizations. I asked her to clarify, and after a few awkward seconds, she admitted the account had been accessed with an old login. Apparently, someone tried to add a new payment method and reassign financial permissions. I didn't need to ask who. I thanked her, hung up, and just sat there. No anger. No shock. Just confirmation. A kind of sad clarity. Even after everything, she still thought I'd cave. Still tried to tap the well one more time. I logged in later that night and disabled the account entirely. I left a note with the registrar's office that all future communications should go through me directly. I didn't send her a warning. I didn't need to. She'd find out soon enough. A week later, I got an email. Subject: you didn't have to humiliate me. That was the entire message. No greeting. No signature. Just that. And for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I didn't even feel sadness. I just leaned back in my chair and stared at the screen. Because I wasn't the one who humiliated her. She did that to herself. She gambled something sacred and lost. I didn't respond to her email. I couldn't. Not because I didn't have words. God, I had too many. But because anything I said would have been oxygen. And I'd finally learned. Sometimes silence is the loudest boundary. Besides, what was left to say? She made her choice. She lit the match, and then blamed me for the smoke. I wasn't going to chase her through it. Still, I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about her. Not with bitterness, but with something more complex, something that doesn't have a clean name. A mixture of ache and acceptance. I thought about how we started. How we laughed through burnt pancakes and long nights filled with her textbooks spread across the floor. How I used to read her flashcards while she painted her toes. How I'd lie awake beside her, tracing dreams in my mind that always had her in them. She wasn't evil. And that's the part that hurts the most. She was human. Flawed. Hungry for something she thought I couldn't give her. And me? I was so desperate to be her foundation, I never realized she was already looking for the exit. I saw her again once. It was months later. I was at a little cafe not far from the community college where I'd started volunteering for a trade mentorship program. Funny, right? I used to build houses. Now I build people. She walked in wearing a gray coat I recognized. Hair shorter. No makeup. Tired eyes. There was no professor at her side. No designer bag. Just a worn-out textbook clutched to her chest and a coffee she didn't sip. I watched from across the room. She didn't see me. Or if she did, she didn't show it. And for a moment, I felt a flicker of something close to pity. Not because she looked small, but because I remembered what it felt like to love her. That version of her no longer existed. And maybe, in her own quiet way, she'd lost something too. I never reclaimed the money I spent on her education. I never asked for it back, never tried to press charges or drag her through court. I guess part of me felt like that money bought me something more valuable, a truth I wouldn't have seen otherwise. It was tuition for a different kind of degree, an education in self-worth. I learned that love isn't about rescuing someone. It isn't about throwing your resources at a sinking ship and calling it romance. It's about building something together, brick by brick, not bank transfer by bank transfer. I also learned what it feels like to be hollowed out, to have the person you trusted most trade you in for a newer narrative. But you know what? The hollow space? It doesn't stay empty forever. You start to fill it with new habits, new people, new mornings where you make coffee without waiting for her footsteps upstairs, new evenings where you find peace in silence. Instead of scanning for her name on your phone, you start to become someone else. Not colder, just quieter, wiser. And in that quiet, I began to rebuild. Not just my finances, but my life. I fixed up the house, replaced the guest room she used to call her study nest with a home gym. I started going for runs, joined a book club, even dated again, though I moved slow. Trust takes time to grow back. But it does. One night, maybe a year after it all fell apart, I found myself writing a letter I'd never send. Not to her, to myself. To the version of me who funded that tuition, who bought the books and carried the groceries and believed that love alone was enough. Here's what I wrote. You didn't fail. You gave. And yes, some people will take and never stop. But that's on them, not you. You still get to be proud of the man you were, even if she wasn't. Keep building. Not for her. Not to prove anything. Just because that's who you are. A builder. And one day, someone will thank you the right way. Not with betrayal, but with belief. Just like you deserve. I don't know where she is now. I don't check. I don't wonder. Because I've stopped living in the place where she left me. I live here now, in a small, sunlit life, built on hard truths and quiet victories. And every morning, when I lace up my shoes or sip my coffee alone, I don't feel bitterness. I feel light. Because healing didn't come from answers or apologies. It came from the day I realized the story didn't end when she betrayed me. It began.